draft with your first pick and your second pick, right?
Sure.
Then you might, hey, you know what? This Booker at the point guard thing, maybe he is our James Harden.
You take
maybe
the best
he
player.
He is all-encompassing, right?
Take
and
the
you
best
go with
player
the center.
You've got to listen.
You could still take a point guard later if you wanted to. You've got plenty of picks if that's the direction you chose to go.
You've got another first-round pick. Miami's pick is like 22nd right now, the Miami pick. So you might be able to get a point guard at 22. So there are things you could do. You can go get a point guard in free agency or trade for a point guard to do something. But at this point, I mean, listen, Tyler Ulis, enough's enough. He's a backup point guard. That's all he is. Isaiah Cannon's a backup point guard. The best guy you have to run this team is Devin Booker, and that's who should be running the team.
Kick off your weekend with us tomorrow. We're broadcasting live from Famous 48, Scottsdale's newest eatery and tavern in the heart of Old Town. We'll have your chance to win Waste Management Phoenix Open, Suns, and Coyotes tickets. So head to the events page at arizonasports.com for complete details. So while the Suns are struggling on the court, could the answer be a head coach with Phoenix Suns roots? The idea is gaining some traction. We'll talk about that next on the Burns and Gambo Show.
I think I dreamt about a McDLT yesterday after all the damn McDLT talks and the commercials that you guys were playing.
Did you really?
I think I had a dream and I was eating a McDLT from back in the early 80s.
You say that just once you'd like your hamburger hot and your lettuce and tomato cool and crisp all at the same time? Yeah! Well, I say you got it. I'm talking McDonald's new lettuce and tomato hamburger, the McDLT.
Yes, killing me. I swear, I think I had a dream that I was eating McDLT last night.
And once again,
I woke up and I was like, I think I just had a McDLT in a dream.
If the voice in that commercial sounds familiar, that is the voice of a very young George Costanza.
From Seinfeld.
A.K.A. Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. Way before he was ever George Costanza on Seinfeld. He was an actor in a McDonald's commercial for the McDLT.
I don't eat McDonald's, but if they bring back the McDLT, I'm going.
You're going. Is that what you're going to do?
I'm going.
Gary Wolfel, I believe is the correct pronunciation of his name. He is a columnist for the Racine Journal-Times in Wisconsin. He is also with WSSP 1250. He is their basketball insider, and he wrote a column that has all of the NBA talking today and had Doug talking about it this morning.
Good find
on
by
the Doug and Wolf Show. Yes,
by Doug Franz. I want to give him credit. I mean, I was driving back from the gym, the pit, and I heard Doug talking about this story, and I was like fascinated by it. Because it does make a lot of sense. And basically, the gist of it is that Jason Kidd would like to coach the Phoenix Suns.
Coinciding with the erosion of his influence in the organization, several NBA sources told me, Wolfel, that Kidd wanted out of Milwaukee and was interested in the head coaching job with the Phoenix Suns. That's word for word what Wolfel's column writes today. He talks about in the column all the power that he had in Milwaukee, how he had essentially had carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do. It reminds us all that when he was in Brooklyn, he had an attempted power play to run the entire basketball operations. That failed. When that failed, he wanted out. They helped him get out. He went to Milwaukee. He had all the power in the world. He talks about NBA scouts. I asked an NBA advanced scout where he would rank Kidd among the 30 head coaches in the NBA. The scout said Kidd was the worst coach in the NBA. So you've got this former player who's got a very checkered past with the Phoenix Suns organization who is now available, and you have a Suns coaching job right now that is being filled by an interim in Jay Triano, who has done a nice job, but we don't know for sure whether he's going to be the permanent head coach or not. Should there be any consideration whatsoever given to Jason Kidd as the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns?
I think you got to bring him in for an interview. I'm not saying you hire him, but I'm all for throwing out a wide net, doing a long search. And there are players that did not like playing for Jason Kidd, but there are a lot of players that loved playing for Jason Kidd, including Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis loved playing for him. There are some guys that didn't. Apparently Greg Monroe did not like playing for him. He's quoted in this story. Greg Monroe is.
He's barely quoted in the story.
Yeah,
he didn't want to say too much about it. I don't think he wanted to get himself in any kind of trouble or stir anything up. But he was playing it real close to the vest. Yeah.
Yeah. Interestingly, Monroe was in Milwaukee when Kidd was fired. When I asked Monroe what he thought of Kidd's dismissal, he made it abundantly clear he didn't want to discuss it. I'm not here anymore. That's not my problem. I then asked Monroe about what kind of rapport he had with Kidd. He coached. I played. That's it. Being very professional. Monroe's being very professional. Some players didn't didn't like him. Now, there was an incident with Jabari Parker that is listed on here in which, Jabari Parker, one former Buck player told me Kidd was really tough on Jabari when I was there, and he shouldn't have been. He had no reason to do that. Jabari's a good kid. Another former Buck player claimed Kidd threw Parker under the bus when after Parker talked publicly in general and non-critical terms about a team meeting, Kidd disciplined him by not starting him. Now, this was interesting. The guy says, I asked the Bucks player a short time after the incident if he voted, because Kidd said he told reporters his decision came after the players voted on the matter. Now, he asked a Bucks player about it, and the guy said, I didn't have anything to do with the vote. Now, I talked with somebody in the know here, said, no, what Kidd does is he goes to the captains, and he has them vote. He doesn't go to all the players. He goes to the 3 captains, and he talks to the captains and the leaders, and he says, well, I want you guys to vote on this. So the fact that there was a vote, it wasn't every player on the team that voted.
Yeah.
It was just a couple of the players on the team that voted.
Jason Terry, count him among those who believe Jason Kidd can be a great NBA head coach.
He did a great job here. This is not by any means a failure for him. Where this franchise was before he got here to where they are now and going to continue to go, he has a part in that.
Count Chris Middleton among those who like Jason Kidd.
He's been a great teacher for me. He took, like I said, took my game to another level. Most I was a spot-up shooter. He allowed me to post up, expanded my game to pick and rolls and driving. Like I said, man, he taught me a lot in this game about the business and just how to be a professional.
Here's somebody who isn't. Bill Simmons took to his Twitter account today. Quote, I think the Suns have great fans. They need to start mobilizing now to make sure Jason Kidd does not talk his way into that Suns head coaching job. Between him and Sarver, just set the next 4 years on fire. You know I'm right. Mobilize now.
The year Jason Kidd got to Milwaukee, they won 41 games. The year before he was there, they won 15. Took a 15-win team and won 41 games and made the playoffs with them. Jason Kidd, listen, there are a lot of, and I talked to a bunch of people
Sub 500
today.
record as a coach in the league.
He's got about a sub 500
with the
record.
Bucks. Yeah, I think
but he hasn't coached
sub 500 guy.
He hasn't
Yeah,
coached a good team. He coached the Nets for good. He coached
no,
the
I'm talking
Nets
about with
and
the Bucks. I'm talking about with the Bucks. He
yeah.
was sub 500.
Yeah, but they won 15 games the year before he got there.
I understand
they
that.
They were so bad the year he got there, and he got them to 41 wins, and he's made them a much better team. There are players that like him and players that don't like him. I talked to a player who said he was one of the best coaches I had.
Yeah.
So there are players that do like him and players that don't like him. He lives here in Phoenix. He's available. He would want more control, which is something that they may not be willing to give him.
I doubt that
because he's more of a control freak than anything else. I asked the player, he said he's always prepared. It's a good mindset. Gets the most out of a lot of the players. He can get under your skin. He could really get under your skin. He can go at you at film sessions and stuff. So, again, there are players that hate him. There are players that love him and will go through a wall for him. But I'm not saying you hire the guy. I'm just saying I think if you're the Suns, you've got to interview a lot of different players, a lot of different coaches.
Scale of 0 to 100, my interest level in Jason Kidd as being the next head coach of the Suns is 0. It's 0.
Okay. Wow.
Too much of a checkered past, too much of an erratic past from his times as a college basketball player to a pro player to a coach, the attempted coups, the power plays, I got a story here in front of me. It's dated 2014. It's nearly 4 years old, okay? And it lists up until that point everything Jason Kidd did that could be considered controversial, erratic, unstable, whatever words you want to use. This is a story that's 4 years old, okay, that lists up everything. What has he done since then to only add to this story? 0 interest. None.
Yeah,
I mean none. Keep, as Mike Jurecki would say, I love you, Mike.
Keep walking.
Keep walking. Keep walking. I have no interest in him.
I think you've got to bring him in for an interview. I'm not saying you hire him. I bring him in for an interview.
You're interested in him then? You're intrigued by him?
I'm intrigued by the process of reaching out and talking to a lot of different people.
Oh, I have no problem with that.
And listen, there was an incident 17 years ago, whatever it was, where he threw a French fry at Jemana when they were married, and he got in trouble, and Jerry Colangelo jettisoned him out of here. So how much of a factor is that? The domestic violence. I believe he threw a French fry at his wife at McDonald's, is what I think, if I remember correctly, is what happened. Is that an issue anymore, or is
No,
that too far gone?
I think that's too far gone. I
He's
think
had no incidents since that we know about.
Well, not domestic violence incidents, but he's had more than his share of incidents. Power plays with the Brooklyn Nets, the Lawrence Frank incident, where kid reportedly used a 13-letter word in an expletive-filled rant at Frank, even though he pushed for the organization to hire Lawrence Frank to be his assistant coach. There was the revolt at Cal when he got his coach fired there. There was running into Mike Woodson on purpose.
I Cal 30 years ago.
Okay, but I'm giving you examples from 3 years ago.
Okay.
I'm establishing a lifetime's worth of erratic behavior. I agree. What he did at Cal was a long time ago. I'm also citing incidents from 3 years ago. No thanks. Nothing to do with him. Keep walking.
Keep walking.
Keep walking.
All right.
Keep walking.
I bring him in for an interview. I'm not saying I hire him. I bring him in.
Yeah,
I'm looking to bring in. I want a Cardinal search. I want to bring in 9 guys and hire the best guy.
I totally agree with that. 100% agree with that. Kid brings too much chaos with him.
He might.
He's an agent of chaos.
And I'm not saying hire him. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying hire him. I'm just saying bring him in.
They are promising to reimagine the entire sport. Is anybody going to watch Vince McMahon's reimagined football league? That's coming up next.
This is the XFL.
Burns and Gambo Show.
The